All right, and we're back with episode 3 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. You're with Xander.
And Jed.
So thank you for joining us again on another episode of us talking all things Kiss Army related. In the last episode, we took a step back. We introduced us a little bit more so you guys could be a little bit more familiar with us and who we are as Kiss fans. We want to know your guys' stories too, so be sure to leave some comments and also follow us and like us on Facebook and Instagram. Today, though, we're going to get right back into it. We're talking about the music.
Yes, today.
So, what are we doing?
Of course, we are doing our top 5 favorite Kiss albums. We tried to keep this rather simple, so we decided to go with only studio albums of all original material. We're excluding the solo albums, or did we make that clear?
I think we are excluding solo. We're just doing the 20 studio albums. We're going to keep it simple.
Yes.
We're not going to overthink it. We're just going to go right in and talk about our top 5. So
yes, our top 5s and why as well. Of course, it wouldn't be interesting without the why.
And you, if I'm not mistaken, you listened to every single album, like
almost
every single album.
I listened over the past week. I listened to about 80-something% of the albums.
That's impressive.
Consecutive. Well, over the course of a few days.
Right.
Which wasn't as bad, but I enjoyed it, obviously.
Yeah, I felt like I knew what my top 5 were. I started there. There were other ones I thought, you know what, these could be some really good contenders.
Yeah.
And then also just Double Platinum, Kiss 40, 2 great compilations that I kind of let just guide me.
Absolutely.
And then also just, based on what I feel like I already know.
These are subject to change as well.
Definitely,
There's, I feel like my 5, it's been set for a couple of years, but it changes every couple of years as well. I go through different Kiss phases of which, different eras and different albums. Definitely alternating, but I feel like this 5 definitely represents the kind of Kiss fan that I am now.
For sure, yeah. My number 5 slot seems to switch.
Yeah.
And change. I feel like my top 4 have been my top 4.
Yep.
But sometimes that number 5 will change. So I'm interested to see what we come up. I feel like you and I are going to be, but we're the perfect Venn diagram where it's like I feel like we're going to have some similarities, but some differences.
But we cover a lot of ground as well. That's what I'm looking forward to. So who wants to go first?
I'm interested in hearing your number 5 first. So if you want to we'll start from the bottom and we'll go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then for those who are watching the podcast video, we of course have some albums that you can see so we can refer to track listing wise. So my first my 5th favorite Kiss album as of right now is Lick It Up, 1983. Which I don't feel as if it gets the credit it deserves. Maybe it does, I don't know. I obviously wasn't around back then when it was released to get reception of it from peers and from other Kiss fans, but I absolutely love this album. Let's see here.
I had a feeling that Lick It Up might be in your top 5, but I wasn't sure where it'd be placed.
Yeah,
and you really do help me like this album a lot more because songs like, I don't know, And on the Eighth Day, or Exciter, I kind of overlook them.
Oh my gosh.
But those are, that's one of the best openers.
Exciter is easily, okay, so that's a good point. You mentioned it's one of the best openers. I would consider that as good as opening an album with Creatures of the Night, like Creatures of the Night, or I Stole Your Love. This is one of Paul's best 80s songs, easily. And of course we could get into, during this era is sort of the start of when Paul's songs were mostly leading the band and where Gene sort of took a back seat as far as, better songs goes. So, it's one of those albums where a lot of the individual songs, for whatever reason, wouldn't make it into a playlist or something like that. It's more of a listening to it as a consecutive album, or as a whole. But Exciter is a 10. I love that song absolutely. Lick It Up as a song itself, while it's one of the big ones, is one that I absolutely never get tired of.
No, me neither.
Out of their bigger, more notable, more famous songs, Lick It Up is one that I never ever get sick of. Whereas I might get sick of Rock and Roll All Night. I might get tired of Shout It Out Loud or something that's always in the set list. But whenever Lick It Up is on, I always that's always a jam. Young and Wasted is probably my favorite from the record.
Oh, really? Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
This is definitely the start of when Kiss changed course yet again as far as sound goes. It sounds, structure-wise and riff-wise, it's not too different from the 70s. It just sounds twice as fast.
Yeah. Oh,
Which is
yeah.
what I absolutely love about that. And so it's faster, and there seems to be a lot more edge to the music on this one. Of course, you could say that about Creatures of the Night, but this was more faster, almost,
It's almost like speed metal, almost. If you were to like tone it down and make...
Yeah, almost a thrash take on Kiss, where it's
Yeah.
not thrash metal, but it's Kiss's take on something,
It's a really good point. That's a really good
more
point. Because
like that.
Metallica was coming out around the same time, too.
You'll say their debut came out the same year this one came out.
Yeah. But you're right. No, that is kind of like thrashy Kiss.
So there is, I mean, it's not quite thrash metal, but with, think about Young and Wasted, Gimme More, stuff like that, where it was really, and there's no ballads, there's no keyboards. It's an 80s Kiss album, but it's without all that 80s fluff.
Before the 80s kind of really kicked in.
It's a very straightforward, hard rockin' record, and Gene's vocals are something that I never. Every time I listen to the record, I think, oh my gosh, he really is putting a lot of effort into that. At least his vocals are really harsh,
Yeah.
really intense. You could tell that they wanted to, that they were set out to dominate again. Obviously, when they're releasing their first album without makeup, they have to, set the record straight.
I bet that's where that edge came from. They needed that edge. If
absolutely.
they're going to take the makeup off, they needed people to know, hey, we're not just going to be all soft and stuff, you know. But yeah, you make some really good points about the heaviness. And speaking of Gene's vocals, have you ever heard of Not for the Innocent with Paul's vocals?
Yes, I heard that on YouTube somewhere. Quite
Which-
strange.
Yeah, I was going to say, quite strange, but like also kind of cool.
It is cool.
I feel like most Kiss fans do that. We're like, oh, I wonder what it would have been like if Paul had sang this or if Gene sang this song. And so that's like one of those where you get that fantasy kind of fulfilled.
I think they made the right decision of having Gene sing it, though. It works I think it works really well as a Gene song. But all the songs are great. And of course, A Million to One is an underrated Paul Stanley song. I absolutely love A Million to One. One of Paul Stanley's finest. Fits like a glove. I mean, it's in my top 5, so I like every song.
Yeah, definitely.
But Exciter, Lick It Up, Young and Wasted, Gimme More, Million to One, and Dance All Over Your Face is really it's a really fun, really straightforward, aggressive Kiss album. And if you like that kind of, because I like that stuff anyway, the faster, heavier edge stuff. It's all of that, but it's just the Kiss version of that, which you could say about a few different Kiss albums. But and obviously you got Eric Carr's drumming, firing off on all cylinders there. Vinnie Vincent, good production on the album.
It's a good songwriting too from Vinny.
Oh, absolutely! As I'll say, can't not talk about Vinny's contribution on him being sort of an official member, not an official member.
Right, but a very contributing
he is,
member.
on the cover, he is a Kiss member as far as all things are concerned.
Vinny, he was a short-lived member in the band, but he contributed a lot when he was there.
Of course.
I don't know that I would go so far as to say that Vinny saved Kiss in the way that some fans like to make him kind of a meme out of that.
No.
But I do think that Vinny's contributions to the band were very important at the time. Keep in mind, songs like Lick It Up, which he co-wrote, Lick It Up, that's still in the set list to this day.
Yeah, no doubt. It's
And I Love It Loud.
Record. It's a fantastic record. A great start to a new era of Kiss, of the no makeup era. Couldn't have started any better. So, moving on, if you want to disclose your 5th favorite Kiss record.
Yeah, so I feel like that one's pretty appropriate. Mine's kind of, I think, left field, but mine actually is Hot in the Shade, which, I mean, I'm dead serious. Like, I know it seems kind of weird because it's an album of glorified demos, but something about it I really do enjoy, and I think it's because it's a fun Kiss album. And most Kiss albums, I think, are fun. You listen to them and they're meant to, like, they put you in a good mood.
They push the right buttons.
Yeah, but this one, I feel like, maybe it's this time of year where it's really nice out. I feel like this album is best listened to when you're in the summertime, you're cruising, windows down, volume up. It's got like 15 songs on it, which compared to most Kiss albums is a lot. I think Animalize only had like 9.
Yeah,
Some had like 10. So I feel like it's got a lot of songs on it. You can listen to it and cruise. And of course, I have to mention the fact that the Kiss Army Things logo is an homage to the Hot in the Shade logo. Hot in the Shade stamp, if you will. Now, I will say that the album cover is not the most Kiss-like album cover. It has the logo is like really tiny. There's no images of the band or anything, but
I like, you know what?
it's still really cool though.
I love the cover.
Me too.
It doesn't make a good Kiss cover,
Right.
Which is fine.
I totally agree. It's an album that like if this were to be sitting like on the shelf in the record store, and you're a Kiss fan, you're probably gonna walk right by it because nothing about it says Kiss unless you have that eye, which a lot of Kiss fans do, where you see anything Kiss, But as far as the songs go, I do think it has some really, really good songs on it. Even though a lot of the songs, we all know that this album, could have been, produced a little bit more, had some more effort put into it. But sometimes that's what gives it its charm. As far as the individual tracks go, Rise to It, I think, is one of those songs, kind of like Exciter, where it's just a really good opener, and it really sets the pace for
Paul song.
It's a great Paul song. I think his vocals are just soaring the whole way through. Once that bass line hits, the song's on. I mean, that intro guitar, that slide guitar, is really cool too. But the song has a lot of energy, and even though the song is clearly about like two lovers, like all that stuff, all that beauty, and if you want to love her, who can play all that stuff. I've always interpreted, because I heard the song when I first heard it, I was real little, so I always almost put the interpretation of the song is about life. Where it's like, you need to like rise to the occasion. Anytime life throws something at you, there's an opportunity that knocks, you need to rise to it. Even when life sometimes isn't that great and, things happen where you gotta, pull yourself up and, you gotta rise to it. So for me, Rise to It has always been like a fun, uplifting song. And one of the things that I think people forget about Hot in the Shade is that it actually has a songwriting credit from Tommy Thayer. Tommy Thayer has a songwriting credit on... I think it's Betrayed. Him and Gene wrote Betrayed together, which that's cool because Tommy, his influence is in Kiss. It goes deeper than.
It goes way back.
It goes way back before, of course, his era in the Psycho Circus. It goes back, into the '80s, and clearly here he has a songwriting credit, so that's really cool. Hide Your Heart.
That's a great song.
Hide Your Heart, I think, is a very special Kiss song, and I didn't notice this or really think about this until the last few years, but the reason I think that Hide Your Heart is such a special Kiss song is because there's a lot of storytelling in it. Paul did a really good job telling a story, and when it comes to Kiss's music, you don't really get a whole lot of storytelling. There's
not
nothing.
A lot of narrative.
Yeah, there's no reason to like really look deep into Kiss's lyrics. It's very either surface level or it's just there's a lot of songs about like partying or having a good time, being uplifted. There's songs about love, relationships, sex. Let's just be honest, and all that stuff. So you really don't expect a song like Hide Your Heart to come from a band like Kiss. And I think that's why maybe he decided to at first send it to other artists and see which Ace did a version of this song too and released a version. I think several other.
A few other
artists did too, but Hide Your Heart isn't really a song that you would expect from a band like Kiss because it kind of breaks their mold, if you will, and that's special. It also makes for a great video. The Rise to It video, the Hide Your Heart video, some good videos coming from this album. Of course, then there's the Forever video, and Forever is a song. Whereas you said on Lick It Up, Lick It Up had no ballads, none of that stuff. Here you have like one of the best ballads and one of the best slow songs, if you will, which is Forever.
One of Bruce's, if not his best guitar solos. One of the most perfectly composed and
one in a
crafted
million
Kiss songs, just songs, period. Just wanted to highlight that.
No, I agree. I have no authority
amazing.
to speak on guitar. I'm not a guitar player, but I know the sound it makes when it just gets you. And that guitar solo, you're right, is perfectly executed. And you play guitar, so you would know. But that's one that you can just sing. It's the singable guitar solos. Like, the Detroit Rock City. That solo is great, and then I think this one is right up there too, where it's one of those singable.
Perfectly composed. Every note belongs there.
Absolutely,
it's brilliant.
And with Prisoner of Love, that's a song that, of course, it's a Gene song. It's an '80s Gene song. We're not looking for anything prolific from Gene. I think Gene is very stream of consciousness, pen to paper, don't overthink it kind of guy. And so I always listen to his songs with that in mind. And Prisoner of Love is a great one to like not only sing but like air drum too, because I'm a drummer. But there's even a part in it where I'm not going to do it out loud, but like if you listen to the song, there's a part where the drums sound very, very similar to a drum beat that Eric Carr did on Creatures. I think it was Saint and Sinner. One of those beats. It's just a callback.
You're a drummer, so you.
That's a moment for me, that I
kind of. I'm a guitar player.
That I pick up on. Okay, so what about Read My Body?
Yeah.
I like it. I'll say it. I enjoy
love
it. It puts a smile on my face. I don't overthink
Well,
it.
it's a Kiss song. I don't know why other people seem to take that song way more seriously than it is.
There's a few songs that people give Kiss a lot of, and this is one of the ones that comes up a lot.
It's a song that particularly jumps out at people as being particularly corny or particularly bad. Or
What Kiss song isn't cheesy?
Well, that's
corny?
what I'm saying. This was just a little more overt, but that's what makes it fun to me. Is that why on earth would I need to pick apart "Read My Body"? It's a fun song. It's got a, it's catchy. It's got
the beat,
nice
the rhythm.
It's artistically, null.
Yeah, you can say it's a bad song.
Yeah,
but I like it. Yeah, I like this bad song.
I'm never gonna skip it because I'd rather listen to it and just. If it puts a smile on your face, that's all it needs to do.
Yeah,
it does.
Of course, we got Little Caesar, which is the one vocal that Eric Carr got on an album, which I wish he would have had more, because I know that he was bringing better material to the band, and so we'll settle with Little Caesar, but we all know that he was bringing more material to the band. Yeah. But yeah, no, I do think that Hot in the Shade is it's a great album. It's a fun album for me.
Fair enough.
All right, boom. What's your 4? What's your number 4?
All right, let's do number 4. Moving on to Rock and Roll Over.
Yep.
Which is a flawless Kiss album in every way.
Flawless Kiss album in every way. Yes.
Where do I start?
Exactly.
Whenever someone says or mentions the term classic Kiss, this is exactly what pops into my head. Or these songs, this sound, this cover even. This is quintessential classic Kiss in every way. Absolutely love this record. Unlike Lick It Up, every single song on this just about could end up on a playlist. I could pick up any one of these songs, listen to it at any time without any context, and I just love it. Every song is fantastic. Love 'Em, Leave 'Em, Hard Luck Woman. Hard Luck Woman is one of my top 10 favorite Kiss, probably top 5 favorite Kiss songs ever. Absolutely adore that song. I think Gene's bass playing is absolutely fantastic on that song. Of course, Making Love's a 10. Take Me's awesome. I Want You is a 10. It's got Calling Dr. Love. Everyone knows Calling Dr. Love.
That's a good one.
It's unfortunate. It seems like this album gets overshadowed by Destroyer, the album preceding this one. And I think this album buries Destroyer.
I think it buries it too.
I think this buries Destroyer in every way. Kiss has a lot of albums where you could say it's sort of a return to form. Every once in a while they'll have a return to form Kiss album. This was that, maybe the first one of its time, where after Destroyer they took their first sort of departure into other territory that wasn't simple rock. Even though it kind of was. But the production's fantastic. That's it's getting Eddie Kramer was I think miles better than Bob Ezra, and that's not a slide to him or anything. But just this and Love Gun both have that perfect classic vintage 70s rock sound. I think that this is the album that has the best production, maybe other than Love Gun, and the entire 70s catalog.
I totally agree.
Just an excellent sound. Baby Driver is an excellent song from Peter Criss, of course. Mr. Speed's great. Ladies Room great. It's just there's almost nothing to say because it's another for the most part very straightforward, straight ahead rock record. Apart from Hard Luck Woman, which is just a brilliantly written song. Again, that's easily a top 5 favorite Kiss song, and I love the album cover too. The album cover it shouldn't whether it should or shouldn't have an effect on whether it's your favorite or not. I love the artwork. Just everything about this record is amazing, and I couldn't imagine walking into a record store in 1976 and seeing this and getting it and playing it for the first time. I only wish I could have that experience because this album it's amazing. It's great. It's a great rock record in every way.
It's a good testament to Paul Stanley as a songwriter, because we were talking about how on Hot in the Shade he wrote Hide Your Heart, and kind of was thinking, well, is this a Kiss song, is it not? And then he gave it to some other artists, and then here you have a song, Hard Luck Woman, where he wrote for Rod Stewart, and Paul's able to tap into that, where he's able to go in between styles or different genres, different vibes. And so Hard Luck Woman is a song where you wouldn't think that would be a Kiss song.
No, but
because it doesn't have that hard edge, that making love riff, that riffage.
Every once in a while, Kiss will put one or two songs on an album where that one song everyone says, well, that doesn't sound like a Kiss song. But those songs always end up not sounding better to me, but they always end up somewhere near my top 10 or my top 5 or something like that, which is strange because it poses an interesting concept. Kiss does that so often that where they have a song or they have an album that doesn't sound anything like what other people say that they sound like.
Yes.
It almost makes it more Kiss that way.
Yes, yeah, because Kiss
the fact
really
that
is
they have
like
so much different music than all their other music. That's what makes it more Kiss-like. It's like,
so true.
Carnival of Souls. Well, that's not a good Kiss record. Well, they do so much. That's what people said about
So
Beth.
much.
When Beth came out, this isn't what Kiss is. This is a totally different departure. Of course, that was a huge hit, and Carnival of Souls did nothing.
Right.
But then, go throughout the early 80s, and they're doing the same thing each and every time. But Kiss does something different so often that it makes it more Kiss. There isn't a Kiss sound, unless, you grew up throughout the 70s.
Yeah, there
And
was a defined sound, and then they
Yes.
kind of said, well, let's grow, let's mold and change. And
But that's why I appreciate being a younger Kiss fan and having, access to it all at once and having it all just be Kiss. Hard Luck Woman is just as much a Kiss song as Making Love or, Take Me or Love 'Em Leave 'Em.
Okay, here's a fun question. So Hard Luck Woman was written by Paul.
Yep.
It was sung by Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Peter's not in the band anymore. Eric Singer is. He's the Catman. But when this song is played live, Paul sings it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Paul should sing it, or would you rather hear or like to hear Eric sing it? I would like to hear Eric try this song.
Yeah, I'm just happy to hear this song be played at all.
Okay.
If I had a preference, it would be Eric.
Okay.
I love his vocals. It just seems like the right thing to do since he's taking that role in the band and he's the Catman, and I think that would be more consistent. But it's Paul's song really. But I would like to see Eric definitely sing that. That'd be fantastic.
Any more thoughts on that one?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I was gonna say I also agree that Rock and Roll Over is a good album. But my number 4 is Monster.
Uh-huh.
And no, Monster is not on this list because I'm a young fan. Monster is not on this list because it was one of the few Kiss albums that we actually did get to see the release of. Monster is on my list as number 4 because I think that this is a stellar Kiss album. When I say Kiss, I mean Kiss. A tried and true Kiss album where the 4 guys, they get in the studio and they just hammer it out.
Yeah.
This isn't, to me, an album that is overthought. It wasn't overdone. It was them going into the studio knowing that they're not going to reinvent the wheel, knowing they're not going to ship 1 million copies on release date, knowing that this is for the fans who want it, which is you and I. Maybe it's you as well. This was an album that I was completely satisfied with, even though I set no expectations for it, because I was happy and content at the time with Sonic Boom. I thought it was, fine, I thought it was great, whatever. But I didn't want to, project anything onto Monster because I feel like sometimes when new albums come out by new bands, especially bands that you like or have loved for a while or that are known for something, fans tend to try and, well, it's not an album, a Kiss album or whatever, or whoever's album, if it doesn't have this kind of song on it, or I'm not going to like it if they don't do this, or it needs to have this or that. And so as soon as you start sort of like cornering yourself, it can really, have an effect on your final view on the album.
Yeah.
And it's almost why I kind of like the last few Eminem albums that came out, because he just drops them out of nowhere and gives you no warning. And so that's always kind of surprising. I feel like if Kiss were to do that, where like tomorrow you wake up and, hey, by the way, there's a new Kiss album, go find it. And it's like, oh man, that would be great because you have no idea what you're looking for. That's kind of what I treated this album like, where I'm just going to
Set no expectations.
listen to this album.
Yeah.
I'm going to expect to hear a Kiss album. I'm going to let it unfold in front of me and just kind of see what happens. And so I really didn't set any expectations for it. And even if I had, I think it still would have exceeded them, because whenever I popped it in, it was like song after song after song was just, again, all killer, no filler. And that to me was great, especially because they chose to go a heavier route. Sonic Boom was great, and it was definitely, I think, like you said, a return to form. They were kind of continuing with, what people think and know Kiss as. Yeah. This is, that same mentality, but almost like, taking the handcuffs off, unleash a little bit. I felt like Monster was a lot looser than Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom at sometimes feels a little bit too stiff at times. Maybe not. I don't want to say contrived. That's not the right word. But this album feels a lot looser, a lot more relaxed, and that definitely shows in the songs. Hell or Hallelujah was a good single. It got my interest, but I knew hearing it that there was going to be more to this album. So Wall of Sound, when I heard Wall of Sound, I knew right then that Gene was not bringing his B game.
Yeah.
We got his B game on Sonic Boom. I'm just going to call it out. I could tell even then, even as a freshman in high school, I was like, I'm sensing either some recycled material or some 80s mentality, and I wasn't going for it. I want to hear new, fresh Gene, and this to me, at least, and if it was recycled, then he did a good job. Yeah. But to me, this material that he brought to the table on Monster was way better than what he was bringing. And Wall of Sound, I think, is one, and the Devil Is Me is two songs that I put in some of my favorite Gene songs, right up there with Unholy, God of Thunder, just those songs that make you think demon, especially The Devil Is Me. But I think that one of the shining members on this album is Tommy Thayer. I felt that Tommy Thayer, his guitar work,
his guitar is fantastic.
It was fantastic. I felt like Tommy Thayer has always been a good guitar player. I mean, obviously he learned from the best. He learned from Ace. Growing up as fans, he was a fan just like us. I'm sure he has plenty of other influences. He did great in Black and Blue, so no slight to Tommy at all. But I felt like this was an album where he was able to shine a little bit more. And definitely you get that with Out of This World, not only in guitar but in songwriting.
Yeah, I love that song.
But if I had to point out some really stellar guitar work, it would be on Eat Your Heart Out. The last, 30 seconds maybe, somewhere at the end of the song Eat Your Heart Out, some of the tone, and again, I'm not a guitar guy, so if I'm saying it wrong or it sounds weird, that's fine, but all I know is what it sounds like, and boy, some of the sounds that he gets out of the guitar on Eat Your Heart Out at the end is just fantastic. The solo on the Devil Is Me, that stuff is just, it's so good to me. I think Monster, definitely is in my top 4 because not only was it a difference in energy and vibe from Sonic Boom, they did it wasn't as heavy, they went the heavier route, but as far as the sound or the atmosphere goes, I love this imagery.
Yes.
I love the back cover with like the damaged steel kind of like
almost
metal.
Revenge-like.
It's very Revenge-like, and it's not like a copy of Revenge, but it puts me in that mindset. And so the imagery, Kiss's imagery, obviously is very important. And so I felt like even though that album cover is nothing more than them getting in the studio, getting a quick photo, and then somebody photoshopping it. That's all you need.
It's one of my favorite Kiss album covers.
That is all you need.
I don't know why everyone shits on this album cover.
Well,
because it's an awesome cover.
If I'm not mistaken, when this album was advertised, they said that they were going to have an album cover that was like Destroyer, like Love Gun, where it was a painted album portrait. Me too. I thought it was so dumb. I was like, you're just harkening back. I said, do something different, boys. Come on. And so I was thinking that, I don't want to see another Destroyer Love Gun, but I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's how they labeled it, as they were going to have some kind of painted portrait of the band, and then you ended up getting this just one-off really easy photo, which I think works so well. And now the other thing, now that I've rambled on and on and on about the music, the experience that came with this album was so fun, because Sonic Boom, when it came out, yes, that was great too, because you got to go to Walmart and there was the whole Kiss Corner thing. It was a whole aisle dedicated to Kiss, whatever, that's great. But there was only the one album, the one release. It did come with a lot, which was great. But I didn't realize the lengths that they were going to go to with releasing Monster. They did, of course, the regular CD. The first version we got was the fanzine, the 60-page fanzine. Then I ended up getting a friend of mine who may be on this podcast in the future, I hope. His dad actually picked up the 3D copy for me. I got the International Tour edition, the Japanese. I got this from you through a trade. And I'm thinking, how many different versions, not that I care because I'm all in, but how many different versions of this album are? It's like you got to get this version for right here, right now, this version for, which kind of sucks because you do want it all in one. But from a collector standpoint, having to go and like search out this stuff and being like, okay, I need to get this and get that, and I had to have the Japanese one imported, and I don't know, that stuff is kind of fun, Fun. So yes, the music is great. The atmosphere of the the vibes of the album is great, but also the experience of just listening to it for the first time as a senior in high school, and then having to go around and collect. I think it took a year. I think it took a year just to save the money and to hunt them down, just to get all the copies. But that's what it's all about. I think I even went and put I made a Monster cassette.
Yeah, maybe.
Just to say I had everything. I think I went and printed up I photoshopped a Monster album cover just to have it on cassette. But I do love Monster. I think Monster is a great album, and I really wish that they would have done one more, because the route they were headed in, man, like it was good stuff.
I'm happy to see that Monster made it into one of our top fives, because I think if anyone really gives that album a chance, it goes toe to toe with almost any album from the 70s.
Just in terms of heat,
it goes back to that simple, straight ahead hard rock. Nothing complicated. It's just Kiss. It's just
get the studio record. Yeah.
That's a great album.
Absolutely. So what's your number 3?
My number three in the Kiss album favorites is Creatures of the Night, which I feel like is pretty, along with Rock and Roll Over, is pretty agreeable. I feel like a lot of Kiss fans could get with those two.
A lot.
So first thing I'll mention is the production, of course, from Michael James Jackson. This is my favorite Kiss album production-wise. Has the best production on any Kiss album, or at least one that suits me, I guess. Creatures of the Night is a 10. Every time I hear that, it's like goosebumps. It's one of those songs where you think of the album cover, and it's one of those albums whenever you hear the songs, you kind of get that image in your head. I don't know why. Danger is a 10 as well. Absolutely brilliant song from Paul. I Still Love You is a good song. Killer is a really great Gene song. Of course, you have War Machine, which they still play live every time, which is fantastic. The sound of the drums on this album in particular are amazing. They never reverted back or tried to even recreate that, it sounds like, but just hearing Eric Carr's drumming and the sound of the drums on this album is it really stands out. There's only one song that I could maybe do without, and that's Keep Me Coming. I don't know, it's not a song that I ever skip. It's nothing that really grinds my gears. It's just the one song that really doesn't stick out to me as being particularly good. But the rest of the album is fantastic. I love, as with Look It Up, it was yet another change in musical direction. This was the start of getting a little heavier.
Yeah, definitely.
Doing that kind of sort of thing, and I don't know. It's a great hard rock record.
Another album with a good album cover, good back cover, good imagery. Again, it's one of those strong image-wise. It's a very strong album.
Absolutely.
This is one that, unlike Hot in the Shade, that would catch your attention as a Kiss fan in the store.
Yes.
Very strong with Also, it would be one that would scare some parents.
Yeah.
Not only the name, but the eyes, the glowing eyes. I mean, I feel like it's pretty tame by today's standards, but also at the same time, like when you see that back then, it might have been a little bit different of a reaction.
That with the music video of what was it?
Oh, I Love It Loud.
Where they're possessed. Essentially, that was every parent's worst nightmare.
That was the Knights in Satan's service, at its peak,
of their kids being possessed by the devil or Kiss or something. But no, it's just again, a very straightforward record.
So if I was going to move on to my number 3, we have not seen this album yet. It is Rock and Roll Over. Wow. No, I figured that we would have some that overlap, but that's okay, because I think it just shows how good these albums are. I think you said it best. This is quintessential classic Kiss. This is the teardrop pressing. At least this is my teardrop pressing. This is the one I got for free, which we had no idea at the time. I just picked it up. I was like, oh, it was a buy one get one free. So I was like, I'll just get a third or fourth copy of Rock and Roll Over. Yeah. And then we got home and was like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if it was a teardrop? And then we
just glanced
raced over to it, and yeah, it's a teardrop. So that's kind of funny. But which they're not that rare, but it is kind of cool.
Pretty rare.
I don't know if they're as rare as everybody thinks they are. And on the back cover, there's no teardrop on the back.
Well, It wasn't supposed to be a 2-day. It was just
No, it was a. There are people that still think that this was intentional and that this was made to be, and I'm pretty sure it's just an error.
I like the lore around it. It's,
Absolutely, it's the best. It's those things that just keep the conversation going, right?
exactly.
Yeah, but for me, Rock and Roll Over, the reason why it's the reason why it's number 3 is because it is a perfect Kiss album. I think the thing, a standout member on this album is Ace Frehley.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first heard this album, when I first saw it, at the time I recognized none of the songs because I knew all the Rock and Roll All Nights, the Detroit Rock Cities, and the Shout It Out Louds, but I had never heard See You in Your Dreams Tonight.
Yeah.
I had never heard, I think the only one I had ever heard may have been Love 'Em Leave 'Em, a snippet, and Hard Luck Woman.
Not calling Dr. Love, that's right.
Yeah, like, maybe.
Yeah.
But a lot of the songs on this stood out, like Ladies Room, never heard it. Baby Driver, never heard it. Yeah, I did hear a few of those, Dr. Love, Hard Luck Woman, but I had never heard most of those songs, and so I'm like, wait, what? Whoa, this is completely new to me.
Yeah.
So that was really fun, and then it's an album that I think, you pop it in, and from front to back, it's just nonstop. It's great.
Absolutely.
It's not like Hot in the Shade where it has like a bunch of songs, or Double Platinum where it has a bunch of songs. Not a very long album, but man, does it pack a punch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is an album that a lot of Kiss fans go back to.
Yeah.
And for good reason.
It's a pretty agreeable choice for anyone's top 5.
You mentioned Destroyer and how it buries Destroyer, and Destroyer had like a lot of this, production put into it that it seemed kind of weird for Kiss to be with like a choir and have like
orchestration.
Some of that stuff. And so this was an album where it was just straightforward rock and roll, and there really isn't anything that Eddie did to like sort of like bring it down or like clutter it. And I think Destroyer is fine. I think what Bob did on Destroyer was good, and it worked. Without that, we wouldn't have had Beth. And I don't think, at least, and I think that Beth did something for the band, and so but I think this album, it's an album that for me captures the '70s. I was not there, I did not exist. I was -20 or something like that, so -16, I don't know, but like so for me. But if I want to time travel, if I want to go back to the '70s and be like, what was that like? Yeah, this is an album that I think gives me that sound. This and Love Gun, it just sounds so good.
One more thing on the production, the way I would describe it is that Eddie Kramer made Kiss sound like Kiss and how they should have sounded all throughout the 70s.
Yeah,
that to me is the quintessential classic Kiss sound. It's perfect.
That first album doesn't really sound like you would think a band like Kiss would look, or you look at that album cover and you think that's not how that band would sound based on what they look. No offense to Richie or anybody that Kenny who produced that album, but it's just.
It was their first record.
It was the first record, and then Hotter Than Hell was
a mess.
I mean, it was a mess, but it was still heavy.
Yeah.
And then Dress to Kill was kind of that same sort of like very clean, which is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you think when you think 70s Kiss, you think this and Love Gun, or at least I do. If not, that's fine. That's a difference of opinion. Those first 3 are core. The last thing I'll say about Rock and Roll Over. And this is kind of like, this is just a question, just conversation. So with the first album, the second album, the third album, especially the first album, you had this photograph of Kiss that when you saw it, it was like you'd see nothing like it. I mean, you saw Queen, the Queen album, but as far as the makeup and the black and white and like the look that they were going for, it was very strong, very unique, and they started to create these, these like let's face it, creepy, on stage sort of like out of this world personas, and then all of a sudden with Destroyer, you have this painted sort of comic book, larger than life artwork, and then you have this, for all intents and purposes, a cartoon of Kiss, and then you have Love Gun, another not cartoon, but another painted caricature.
Yeah.
That almost to me is like a small signal of Kiss starting to go towards kids a little bit more.
Really? I never looked at it that way.
And me neither, until I started looking back at these albums and thinking about why I liked them. And as a kid, this was a very strong album cover.
Well, they didn't intentionally do that either, did they? Started making it marketable. Because I mean, if you listen to Gene and Paul's anecdotes, they were shocked when they started to see real people bringing their siblings and then kids. Wearing the merch and all that stuff. So that's an interesting thought, but I think...
Yes, but the comic book was coming out in '76 as well. They put the blood in the comic, which the blood was, very, was very crazy and out there.
But they were,
but the comic book and the Paul Lynde stuff, I mean, it was definitely starting to head that way.
Teenagers were listening to kids. It was
teens. I guess I should say teens.
Right, but by the time they got to, well, that was already their core audience, wasn't it? Though, or
probably.
I mean, when they're playing in clubs first, obviously that's not the case. But generally, once they,
I would say
probably post Alive is when they started to get a huge younger.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Teen fan base, but I thought you meant like when they got to Dynasty and they became super kids and they were marketing to like little kids.
Yeah. So when they got to Dynasty, it was definitely going towards the younger kids. But I feel like if you listen to Kiss fans who are twice our age talk about this, they're talking about being 5, 6, 7, and 8 years old, picking up this album and going, "Wow, this is cool and crazy." They're looking at, kind of like us, where you almost see the band before you hear them, or the way you see them and how you see them will influence the way you listen to them. And I feel like with these non-photographic, more cartoonish, if you will, I'm not trying to slight them or anything.
And it does exemplify, really accentuates their individual. I'm trying to see your point now, because if you look at the cover, it does, sort of accentuate each of their individual characters and sort
in a
of
very
establishing
way.
them. And I see. Okay, I guess I can see that. I love how no other album cover looks like this, and how heavily stylized it is. It's just really unique and really cool. I'll never get over how cool that album cover is.
Well, Sonic Boom.
No.
I mean, it was done by the same guy.
Yeah. Well.
Only difference was is that they did use photographs on Sonic Boom.
I think that this is way. I don't know. Sonic Boom's its own thing, but it's.
Yeah.
I think this is cooler.
Yeah.
So this is your number. This is 3, right? We're going to number 4.
That's number 3. We're going number 2.
All right. My second favorite Kiss album, which is the first Kiss album.
Nice.
I feel like this belongs in everyone's top 5. I mean, okay, maybe not. If you think about the song-wise, almost every song was a classic Kiss song that everyone knows and loves. They're still
true.
Playing, a few of these songs today, but what I love about this album, there's many things, but when a lot of people talk about the quote-unquote magic that the original 4 had, I feel like was most, personified into this record. I think I may have read somewhere that, Peter said something about he never really gave it all like he did on the very first record, and I think it shows. I think all 4 members, all 4 original members were on their A game. You could tell that they were hungry. They were, they were wanting to take over the world. You can almost just hear it. I know a lot of people don't hear it that way because some people don't like these versions of these songs. They prefer different live versions, stuff like that. But I absolutely love all these songs. I think some of Ace Frehley's most iconic guitar work shows up on this album. His guitar solo on Strutter. Perfect song to start out there. The first song on the first album is fantastic. Going right into Nothing to Lose, the single for the record. Great Kiss song. Going into Firehouse, it's Kiss classic. Cold Gin, Kiss classic. Let Me Know, I love that song. Sort of a, Gene's take on more of a Beatles-y type song, which I love. Kiss in Time, which is a cover, which is interesting. I like it just because of how high energy it is, and again, Peter's drumming is fantastic on that. It just sounds like they were having a lot of fun recording that. Deuce, another classic Kiss song. They're still playing this stuff. 100,000 Years is maybe, tied with another song as my favorite Kiss song. I absolutely love that song.
No
Gene's bass playing is
Top
fantastic.
favorite Kiss song?
I love Peter's drumming. Every member shines individually, specifically on 100,000
That's
Years.
awesome.
I absolutely love that song. That and then another song which I might mention later was tied as my my favorite Kiss song. Black Diamond, again, it's classic. Everyone loves it. Great epic song, epic finish. I love everything about this record. I love the cover, even Peter's wacky makeup.
Yep.
Of course, the funny story behind that. I love every one of these songs. Again, I think one of the albums that. Maybe you can't say this about some other albums where all 4 original members put in the work and really, really gave their all. It's awesome.
I love the cover. It's a cover that sometimes you think gets old, but like, you know, it's like Destroy Your Love Gun. You see it all the time. It's one of the most iconic images of the band. But when I see it, it just invokes something in me. It's just like, that is cool.
Yeah.
That is the definition of cool. Is that right there? Cool with a K. Good choice. Absolutely. I mean, it's an album that, if it wasn't for that album, none of this would have happened, and that's a very important record.
And as far as production goes, I think it sounds perfectly fine. Certainly better than Harder Than Hell. It almost sounds like it wasn't produced. Like they didn't do anything. It just sounds like it was recorded, and then there it is.
Magic.
And they just captured. They just captured, the magic. A great Kiss album, front to back. Every song, every moment is great. Absolutely love the debut album.
Yeah,
that's my number 2.
My number 2, it's another repeat, but it is Creatures of the Night. This one has always been in my top. And yes, I mean, obviously, it's the elephant in the room. It's the production. It's the heaviest. It's one that I think I love showing other people this album, because other people, or songs from it, because other people have the impression that Kiss is a band that, and I get it, they're a band that looks heavier than they sound, or they look one way and then you hear I Was Made for Loving You and you think there's a disconnect there. But this is an album that I think kicks everything into overdrive, and so it's an album that when people think that Kiss is not heavy or is incapable of being heavy, this is an album that you can play, because like you said, Creatures of the Night, man, as a song is definitely up there. It's just one of those songs that, like, that part in the middle, it's just a jam. It is a straight jam, and that is like musically Kiss at like a great level. Eric Carr's drumming, fantastic. I always felt kind of bad for Eric coming in the band, being the hard hitter, the big player that he is, and then the first album that he played on was The Elder. And it's like, oh really? Like I'm in this band that's known for being this, and I'm gonna bring this to the band, and then you're playing, which, I mean, and Under the Rose are great songs, but it's not what you're thinking. So I think that this is definitely a body of work that Eric Carr would be proud of, and as a Kiss fan, I'm proud of it too. As a drummer, this was one that stood out to me too, because when I first heard it, I was maybe around 7 years old. And so up until that point, Peter Criss was my guy. I think Peter, taught me how to play drums. And then, after that, it was like, okay, well, now you got to move on to, the next level, if you were. And Eric Carr was that next level.
Exactly.
Dad always loved War Machine. War Machine was always one of Dad's favorite songs.
Yeah.
He was a big Gene guy, got off under War Machine. So you can't go wrong with that. Yeah, they've been playing it ever since. I mean, they played it on the Rock the Nation tour, but then they brought it back, I think, full-time on the tour with Motley Crue. Was around the time where they brought that back, and then it's
a staple since then.
It's been ever since, and it's one that I look forward to, because with the pyro and the fist pumping and all of that is just,
it works really well. With
that graphic that they play, where Kiss actually hired somebody to do full CG animated battlefield.
They did an army
with the actual Kiss army. That was
wicked. I remember seeing that. In 2012 live,
for the first time.
Motley Crue.
But this is just an album that, like you said, through and through is amazing. It has great moments, like Saint and Sinner. You get moments in songs that you don't hear on any other Kiss album. And of course, again, I can't just play it here right now. But if you listen to Saint and Sinner, the part where it's like cross my heart and hope to die, and then Gene got the weird the weird scream. I can't do it, but it's just
that's really cool.
Good music. It's good music. Danger, like you said, I think Danger is an underrated song. Danger is a song that you really don't expect from Paul, because Paul is usually known for being either the flamboyant or the lover guy, and so for him to have a song that packs a punch like that, and Eric with that drum beat is just, it's so good. I liked the fact that they not only brought the costumes back, which we saw in 2017 on the Kiss World Tour, but they did the Kiss Cruise. Thought that was really awesome. They could have maybe played a few more songs, because it wasn't like they played the whole album. But I mean, just to give that album some love, I think is great, because it's an album that at the time was very overlooked. I think when this album came out, the damage was done. Exactly. As far as a lot of the core Kiss fans, and if they hadn't left, their interest wasn't as strong as it was in, say, 75, 76, 77. I mean, once the solo albums came out, and then with Dynasty and Unmasked, and then The Elder, I mean, even if Kiss was putting out an album like this,
Yeah.
I mean, again, you were already listening to other bands. I mean, sorry, but that's the way it was.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they hadn't gone the route that they went with Dynasty and Unmasked, had they, after the solo albums, come back and instead of going that left field, what if they put out an album that was, the exact opposite, where they started to go this route with it?
I think that
Kiss.
happened.
I think it could have been very possible, but they did what they did, and then history is history, and I don't want to change anything because it is what it is. But it makes me wonder, had they, after the solo albums came out, when they came back, instead of going that direction, had they said, you know what, let's come back and pack a real punch, I think Kiss could have been at the forefront or a contender in that heavy movement, because when Dynasty and Unmasked were coming out, Motorhead was on the scene. You had Iron Maiden, bands like Van Halen and Motley Crue were coming out, and so that's where people was going to for their hard rock and heavy stuff.
Right, for the hard rock, but Kiss sort of intentionally didn't even go in that direction because they essentially said, "What's more popular than that?"
Right, yeah, they were going for pop. They were going for pop, and I'm saying, had they not, and had they gone this direction, they probably could have. Once it caught on.
I think if this album would have came out, 1980, it would have changed. It would have changed everything.
Or a precursor to it, like even if it wasn't Creatures of the Night, but like a precursor to it. That once it got going, other bands were like, "Hey, let's do this," but Kiss has to be the one to keep.
Maybe go from Dynasty. Killers could be the bridge that gaps them.
Yeah,
because that is a big jump from Dynasty to something like Creatures of the Night is a big jump, but
it's also
this is still not that far apart.
And you think about that time period, we got kind of lucky because the Kiss that we've known and grew up with has been very, very consistent. Kiss has always been very constant, but never consistent. Band members were always changing the makeup. When you got this guy wearing that makeup, he wasn't even on the album. You got some guy coming in on this tour, he'd be gone in a year. Mark St. John's only there for a hot minute, and then Bruce comes in, and then all this stuff is happening, and it's like you think about 2016 to 2020. Not that much happened in terms of like change. It was like Kiss Rocks Vegas was released, Freedom to Rock. They did the Kiss World Tour, and then End of the Road. A very nice, boom, boom, boom. But from 1979 to 80, 79, 80, 81, 82, like that was a weird 4 years. Like Dynasty happened, and then it's no longer original members. It's Eric Carr, and then you have Unmasked, and then you have. You have the Elder and all that. They didn't even tour for that.
Every album.
New costumes. You got new costumes now. Yeah. Like it was such a weird, like everything's changing. I would be hard to keep up with because there is no internet. It's just magazines and it's just word of mouth and all that. So it's like what a weird time.
Just kind of.
This is an album that you had to like give it time for it to really. And I think nowadays it is in most Kiss fans' top 5. It's in both of our top 5s.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in your top 5. Don't forget, let us know in the comments. Hopefully by the time, when we're talking, you're thinking of yours. But this is an album that definitely, it took some time to kind of get its grounding and get the respect it deserved. They had to re-release it in 85, with the alternate cover and put Bruce on it just to get it to sell a little bit. Because, hey, this is a good record.
Yeah.
But,
it's an excellent record.
But I love it.
It's a shame how how much it didn't perform as well in number-wise, because they could have continued with that production sound.
Yeah, and and perhaps if that heavier sound caught on, there would have been no need to take the makeup off, maybe, because that was something that they could do.
They could have done Creatures of the Night Part 2, not literally, with the next heavier, the next step.
Yeah.
Image-wise, and that could have been really, things could have gone in 1,000 different directions with Kiss, and that's why it's so fun to talk about. What if this small thing changed?
We could go on and on.
What would have happened here? So.
But let's keep going. Let's do your number one. We'll get into my number one, and we'll wrap it up. So what is your number one?
So my number one Kiss album can be seen here.
Okay, so I guess we're going to be sharing this one then, because mine is Revenge.
Okay.
Mine's also Revenge.
I had a feeling.
For sure. Well, hey, at least we agree.
Yes.
At least we agree.
So we can talk about this one again. This is the best Kiss album.
This is the best
By the way,
lineup.
I was getting ready to say, this is the best Kiss lineup. This is the best Kiss album. The stars aligned on this record with, as I was saying with the first album, where all 4 members
firing off
are performing on an equal level, just giving it all they've got. It's again, every song, the one thing, if anything, I want to point out, besides the individual songs, is Bruce Kulick's guitar playing.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why this album is so good to me.
Okay.
To me, had it been someone else, I don't see it being maybe my favorite because I'm a guitar player, but this to me is the best hard rock lead guitar playing on any record ever. His just distortion sound, the sound of his wah pedal on this, it all sounds like Revenge, and it all sounds like itself. It's completely unique. Mostly the reason why it's my favorite. I could take the guitar from this album and that would be enough. But you put Paul Stanley's amazing vocals on it, Gene Simmons back in it with good songwriting,
Finally,
awesome
right?
vocals. Unholy was the song that's tied with 100,000 Years. It's my favorite
Is it really?
Kiss song.
For sure.
Which is cool because I get a balance of Gene and Paul. Two completely different, songs. But Unholy, and just I could talk about the guitar on this album all day, but Unholy is the greatest guitar solo I've pretty much ever heard on any hard rock song. No song has a solo that sounds anything like that. It goes in 3 different directions, and then it has this sound, and then does this thing. That is the coolest and best guitar solo in their catalog.
Do you remember at the Kiss Expo when
Yes.
Bruce did that guitar clinic
did
and
the
he
clinic.
played it in front of us?
I almost
And
cried.
it was seriously something to behold.
That is something that I could have only have dreamed of, and I'm glad I didn't even think to bring that up. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, that was
watching
insane.
watching the man play that in person to a track that he had on his iPad was it was an absolute dream for me as a Bruce Kulick fan, just a fan of him solo and a fan of him in Kiss. He's my I am a Bruce Kulick enthusiast.
Yeah, absolutely.
A fan.
He also played isolated vocal tracks from Eric Carr. He played Eric
Yes,
Carr's
at
vocal
the
tracks
Expo.
from God Gave Rock and Roll to You, and that's where I did cry.
Yeah, that was
cool.
That was a moment. But I mean, as far as songs go, I mean, Unholy is a 10, Take It Off's a 10, Tough Love, Spit. I'm surprised a song like Spit made it on this album, and I'm so glad it did because I absolutely love
What a
that
weird Kiss song, but what a great
I
song,
know.
period. Because it's one of those songs that you don't think about Kiss playing that, but I'm like,
It doesn't sound. It sounds like something they would have recorded and then just left off and said, maybe we won't put that one on. But I love the guitar riff, the groove. It's completely weird and unique, and
it is.
Domino, obviously, that's a quintessential Gene Simmons song. Heart of Chrome's fantastic. Thou Shall Not. Again, Gene, is on Paul's level. That does not happen often, where you get Gene Simmons
And Paul
stepping in, and they're on the same level. 'Cause to me, Paul Stanley's the man.
Paul is Kiss.
He is Kiss. He is the front man. He's the main guy. He's written the better songs.
Yep.
Although but
He's a better vocalist.
This was
he's
an album.
He's a better vocalist.
Yes.
He's a better. I'm not saying better performer, but no, he's just a well-rounded
He is
individual.
yes.
And as far as Kiss goes, he's the guy.
He's the guy. So, and I think, I was going to mention this on Monster, but I think that was an album in which they both were competing roughly on the same level again. But
Monster?
that doesn't happen very often, where you get the equal greatness. And this album, you get equal greatness from Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. Adding on the at the time new member, Eric Singer's drumming. He's my favorite drummer probably of all time.
Yes.
Bruce Kulick, maybe my favorite guitar player of all time. It's like it's completely self-indulgent to me because I have everything that is good and favorite. A favorite of mine is on this record. It's overwhelming how good it is.
It is. It's a great
Absolutely.
record.
I love the image. I love the cover. The cover. No one. I never heard anyone comment on the cover ever, just because it's kind of there. I love the cover. They don't
Yep.
need to be on it. It's grungy. It's not a grunge album, but it's dirty. I love the red. Revenge is a small detail, and blood. It's just every single thing about this album is perfect. It's a 10 out of 10. Yeah, best hard rock album probably ever to me. Enough said.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not really sure how much I'm going to be able to add on to it because I think you hit the nail on the head. As far as a Kiss album goes, yeah, I mean, the top 5, we keep saying the same things. It's got good drums, good guitar, good vocals,
Yeah.
but that's what makes a good album.
That's what
That's what makes a good,
And the production, I didn't mention anything about
the production is
adequate.
it's great. Yeah, no, I mean, it's not like anything, I think you mentioned what Rock and Roll Over or one of those
Yeah.
albums being the best production. For me,
Yeah.
might be Psycho Circus. Just,
Well, technically,
which
best production now.
yeah, well, we won't get into that.
Right.
But I think Bob did have an effect on getting that performance out of Bruce. I know Bruce has said that
all of them.
Bob kind of tested him in the studio a little bit and wanted to kind of push him a little bit. And Bruce, in that competitive spirit, that okay, you want me to let's go, and he delivered a lot.
I think it very much delivered.
I think Paul had at this point definitely proven himself to be, a formidable vocalist, somebody to watch out for, keep your eye on. This is an album that perfectly, goes right along with that. I think "Take It Off" is a very strong song. You mentioned "Heart of Chrome." I love "Heart of Chrome." "I Just Wanna" is a song that I don't think I give enough credit to, because it was probably one of the first Kiss songs I remember hearing. "Revenge" was one of the first Kiss albums I remember listening to, because we were 90s kids, so "Revenge" and Psycho Circus were the first two Kiss albums that we really heard.
Right.
90s Kiss is our Kiss. Dad told a funny story one time where apparently he had a cassette of "Revenge" on his 90s his stereo system, and then me as like a 1-year-old 2-year-old tore the tape apart, like ripped the front of it off, and because you're just a kid, and it took the "Revenge" tape and just strung it everywhere, and then Dad had to like restring it back up, and I felt so bad, but I was too young to remember.
I never heard that story. That's really funny.
I try to repress it, but but as far as an album goes, this is definitely, it's my top favorite Kiss album. I think that this is, again, an album. This is the album that I think I go to show everybody to the most. I think people do have they have their predisposition of what they think Kiss is and what they think Kiss sounds like, whether that's Rock City, Beth, Shout It Out Loud. It doesn't matter. I think these songs blow all those other songs out of the water.
Yeah.
I think this lineup shines more than any other. You have two extremely, talented players, Eric and Bruce. And even though, 90s Kiss is our Kiss, and I love all eras of Kiss regardless, no asterisk, I do think that it was kind of a bummer going from this lineup. Let me say it again. Musically speaking, going from the Revenge lineup to the Reunion, the original lineup, was a significant downgrade.
To me, if I were around that time, I could see that being a monumental disappointment.
If I was not caught up in the makeup, which most folks were just worried about, okay, the makeup and Peter and Ace are back, and that was enough to blind them completely.
Well, absolutely. Which is fine.
And if that's what you want and you like, then hey, that's what Kiss is here for. Kiss is for, make you happy.
Yeah.
But I think that had I been around, and then hearing a live 3, and then seeing a show on the Revenge tour, which maybe it, obviously the Revenge tour didn't sell nearly as well as the Reunion tour did. But musically speaking, if I was to be at a Revenge show, hearing that, and then going to a show like Tiger Stadium, where I know most folks are like, Tiger Stadium is like one of the best Kiss shows ever. But if you turn it off,
looking back,
and you just listen to it, no, it's not. Sorry.
It wasn't like it was here with four serious, doing it for the right reasons, or at least better reasons.
This was
no
Kiss.
one was phoning it in on this record, not even close.
This was Kiss with attitude, and it shows. I think again, people think that they know what Kiss looks like and sounds like, and so if somebody thinks that Kiss, they're not that heavy, they're whatever. I throw on Unholy and I change minds. Yes. They also go, oh wait, there's no makeup. Yeah, exactly. Kiss went 13 years without makeup, and they did great. They sold millions of records. They put out great music. And this is one of those albums that I always point to.
It is in every way a perfect album. I don't even know.
I enjoy Car Jam 81, even though I think most folks don't like Car Jam because it almost seems like an add-on, a throwaway. And some folks say maybe it's not Eric's best work. The reason why I love it is because I think that's one of the things that got me into drumming. Was hearing that drum solo and saying, I want to do that, or I'm a little guy, so or a small guy, scrawny guy. So when I play drums and I hear drums, it makes you feel powerful. Eric Carr makes me feel powerful, and so that track brings that to me. I think most folks probably didn't like it either because they replaced Ace's guitar with Bruce's, which I can see that, but it's not enough to really disappoint me. Eric Singer is also my favorite drummer, and I think that even though there's 2 songs I think that are not him, I think it's Kevin Valentine. The rest of the album is some great work by Eric, and to rebound in that way for the band is fantastic because the loss of Eric Carr was such a monumental loss. And
no kidding.
Monumental loss, not just for the fans because he was such a fan guy. He was a very friendly guy, but just the heat that he brought to the band. He was as strong as it gets, and you can't downgrade from there. You have to either go to the side or go up. You have to keep moving forward. And so to get a player like Eric in the band, I think was the right move. And to keep him in the band to this day is the right move. I think Eric Singer is the drummer
He's the drummer Kiss needs.
We're going to pretend like Bloody Rich doesn't exist. Eric Singer is the drummer to End All Drummers.
He's the best to do it.
And this album is, this and Kiss Alive 3, two great albums. Yeah. But this lineup was, oh my gosh. If I could go back, besides going back to see very early Kiss, like, Club Kiss in the 70s, in 73, I want to see a club show from the Revenge Tour.
I was going to say the show
Imagine being in a small venue like that with that lineup just coming at you full force.
Honestly, that's sort of another cool thing is that it wasn't a big, it's kind of like Creatures of the Night, where at this point so many people had kind of checked out, yet they put out this album that should have brought them right back onto the top. And so they were playing these small shows, but that would have been the time to see them, I think, and that smaller show, playing those. They played a lot of classic Kiss songs and made them heavier and made them just way more raw. On that tour, side by side of these tracks was excellent. Watching the footage, that stuff is great. Yeah, but I think
not to give any shade to the original lineup, because without it there wouldn't be anything. But I feel very confident in saying that this lineup and this album is, for me, it's at the top.
This is top. Yeah, Kiss on their best.
I love the original lineup. I love the current lineup. I love all of it. But I got to give it to this lineup right here as being some of the best. Well, I think that does it for our top 5. We went a little long today. But no, that's okay, because you know what? We talked all about the music. Without the music, there would be no reason to tour.
Yeah.
There'd be no reason for any makeup, any costumes. There'd be no reason for this podcast.
Yeah.
There'd be no reason to collect anything. So the music, I think, is the most important aspect of Kiss. It is the very foundation. There's so many layers to Kiss. Yes, it goes in many different directions. Yep. The foundation has and will always be the music. Mm-hmm. So, have you listened? Do you listen to Soul Station?
I have not listened to the full thing yet. I'm still.
Take that, go home, listen to it.
I'm going to take the vinyl?
Take the vinyl, go home, listen to it.
That'd be great.
You got a new system. Thank you for giving me my new system. We're going to jam out in a little bit. But so you listen to Soul Station. You guys let us know what your top 5 favorite Kiss albums are. Here are ours. You probably don't agree. You might agree. Either way, let us know. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening, and discussing Kiss music with us. Yeah. We hope that you'll want to stick around for the next episode. Again, like us and subscribe to this channel. There's some other Kiss videos on this channel. Check them out. Thank you guys so much. I'm Xander.
I'm Jed.
This is Kiss Army Things.